Hi, I'm Fergus. In today's tutorial, we will talk about the Mass Identity Management Framework. We hope that by the end of this video, you will have learned how to use the Mass Identity Management Framework in your project, search for groups or users and retrieve details, as well as adding or removing users to and from a group. In this tutorial, I will use an app called Group Management. The finished app will be available for you to download. With this app, I can see a list of groups owned by my user on this first screen. I can view the group details by clicking on one of the groups. On this screen, I can see details about the group, such as the names and photos of its members. The name of this user's account is bolded because it is the owner for this group. To add members to this group, I can then click on the plus button. This screen allows me to search for any users available in the company's identity provider. I can find users and then also add users to this group. Now let's see how we would design this application. The first screen shows the list of groups owned by this user. To accomplish this, we can use a method to get all the available groups for a particular user. The second screen shows details about the selected group. Here you can see the group owner and all the members inside the group. To accomplish this, we can use methods to get group details and others to get member details. The third screen is used to add members to a group. On this screen, you can search for users in the identity provider and add them to the group. Here we'll use two methods, one to search for users based on a parameter, and another to save added users to this group. Let's open Android Studio and see how this is done. I want to start by logging into the app with user credentials. You'll notice in the Mobile SDK that if I want to call a method related to users, it will be from the MassUser class. If I search for login, I'll find a method that takes in a username, password, and a mass callback object. The object type inside the mass callback object will specify what gets returned. In this case, a mass user will be returned. After we get the user, we can look for their groups. Similar to mass user, if I want to find a method related to groups, I can look at the mass group class. Let's make a mass group object and see what methods are available for getting groups. There are methods such as getGroupByGroupName and getGroupByID, but I'll go ahead and use the getAllGroups method. As you can see, I just need to provide the ID of a user and we'll get the list of groups they own returned in the callback. I'll use the ID of the logged in user here to get this user's list of groups. We can then iterate through the groups and examine their details. Now let's look at the group details. Let's pretend I need to make a new method to get the group details, and I only had the group name from the previous screen. I can look through mass group again for the getGroupByGroupName method. And using the name of the selected group, I can get a list of groups containing that name from the backend. We'll once again iterate through the returned groups. And then I can look at the methods inside a group and simply retrieve information such as the group ID, group owner, members list, or group name. Now what if we want to search through a list of users and potentially add them into this group? Here is the add user activity, the class for the last screen. I'll introduce a mass filtered request object which lets us specify particular attributes we want to include for a user search. Before we use this object, we'll have to retrieve the appropriate metadata available for these users. I can do this by calling getUserMetadata, and the mass callback will return a list of available attributes from the backend. I can then create a mass filtered request with our desired search text and call getUsersByFilter with these attributes to obtain a list of mass users matching this filter. Finally, to add these mass user results to a group, all I have to do is call the addMember method, which takes in a mass member object. How do I make a mass member? Thankfully, there is a constructor that takes in a mass user as a parameter and returns a mass member. Now we'll go ahead and call addMember. After that's done, I can call save to save the results to the backend, and the callback will return the mass group on the backend containing the new user. I can similarly call removeMember to remove the member from the mass group instead. To summarize, today you've learned how to search and retrieve groups and users from your gateway, get details for groups and users, and also add and remove users from groups. Thanks for watching, and I hope you now feel confident using the Mobile SDK for user and group management.